Today we're going to show you how to make your BMW G20 M340i sound like this. This is Bryan. Thanks for watching Kies Motorsports. If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe, and check us out at KiesMotorsports.com. That's right, today we're going to show you how to install an AWE exhaust on this BMW G20 M340i. Now the first part of the process is you need to get the car up off the ground, whether that be with jack stands or if you have an automotive lift. A lift is not necessary at all, but to get you guys the best camera angles, we're going to use one. So at this time, we're going to throw the car up in the air and we'll see you under the car. Now the first part of the process now the car is in the air is we need to get the old exhaust off. Now, as you can imagine, exhaust gets very hot, so we recommend having the exhaust cool to touch before attempting to remove it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with the back. You can't see a thing because these are fogging up. But we need to remove the OEM BMW exhaust tips. Now, if you didn't see our video, it's actually very easy to get these off. Basically, you take a 10 mil, and there is a 10 mil here. Right, like that. And then there's another one right here. And then once you get this off, you're gonna slide it this way and then drop it down. So you go like that, you slide it in, you drop it down, and you slide it straight off, just like that. Then you're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side here. There's one there, and one here. You take this, you slide it in, pull it down, and then it's gonna come right out. Then you're going to have on the passenger side, one of these connections right there. You can disconnect that. Now while you have that 10 mil out, we're going to remove this bracing. So there's a 10 mil over here. There's one over here. Then there are two over here. Then once you've removed those 10 mils, you're going to need an E10, which is an E-Torx. And you're going to remove these 8. So there's two here, two here, two here, and then two over there. So then once you get to the last one, just be careful that it doesn't fall on your head. Okay. Just like that. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to remove the exhaust clamp that holds the mid pipe to the down pipe. This is an aftermarket clamp, so this one's a 13, so yours may be a little bit different. What I would highly recommend doing, you can see that this is a little bit wet. I would highly recommend spraying that with some PB Blaster and letting it sit, because it's going to make your life a lot easier and it's going to mitigate that risk of breaking that bolt. Now for this clamp, I like to spread it completely open like that because sometimes this connection to here is really, really tight and sometimes it kind of gets a little bit corroded together and it gets kind of stuck. So the looser you can get this clamp, the better your life is going to be. So at this point in the process, we have a lot of the bracing off. The front is held in by this 13 mil right here. And then in the back, there are 3 exhaust hangers. There's one right here, again with a 13 mil. And then there's one on each side. So there's one over here, and then there's one over here. Now getting an exhaust off of a 340, or a Supra, matter of fact, we have a Supra exhaust over there. You really need 2 people. It's definitely going to be the easiest way. Is it possible with one? Sure. But it's going to be a lot easier if you have 2 people. So what we're going to do is I am going to start off by just removing this exhaust hanger. Cool thing about this is I think it's easier to just remove the 13mm nut and then pull down the support bracket. Okay, so we'll take that off like that, and we'll loosen that and get it out of the way. Then I'm going to take off these rear two, and Zach's gonna put the camera down. He's gonna hold the back of the exhaust. Then I'm going to go up front. I'm going to remove this other 13mm. And then what's gonna happen now is the best way to take an exhaust off a 340 is to lower it down and then to just gently twist back and forth while pulling. The connection can be very tight up front, like we were saying earlier. You want to get that band as loose as possible, or take it completely off if you can, because it can be really, really tight. So with that second hand, he's going to be able to, help me wiggle this back and forth to loosen that clamp up, and I'm going to be able to support the front just so it doesn't fall. So at this time, Zach's going to put the camera down, and he's going to help me support the back here. We're going to remove this exhaust hanger. We're going to remove this one. Then I'm going to remove that 13mm, and then we're going to drop the exhaust. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our tool here, and we're going to pull off the exhaust hangers, and then you're going to need a 10mm to pull off the exhaust flap actuator as well. We're going to transfer these over to the new exhaust. Now whenever I take these off, what I like to do is I like to lay them on the ground just as they came off. So for example, I took this one off like this. It goes like this. And I'm just going to put it on the ground, so this way I don't accidentally put it on in the wrong orientation. So I did the exact same thing for that, and then now I just need to remove the 10mm here on the exhaust flap actuator. So now what we're going to do is we are going to assemble our new AWE exhaust. Now, there's two ways that you can do this. You can either lay everything out on the floor and you can pre-assemble it, or you can just do it piece by piece. Either way is gonna work. In today's video, I'm just gonna do a piece by piece. So first thing you need is you need this little short piece, and then you also need this piece that combines the two exhaust pipes into one. So with that, this is going to go on here. Don't forget to put your large exhaust clamp. And you're going to take another exhaust clamp and put it on here, and you're going to slide it over your downpipe. Okay, so once you've done that, we're going to snug up this 13mm here. I'm still going to leave this bracket off and this bracket off. This is going to secure this piece in place, so I'm not worried about it falling or moving or anything, but we want to make sure that everything else down the line is going to be fitting correctly. Sometimes you might need to maneuver a couple things over here before you can lock it all down. So with that, let's go grab the next two pieces of the mid pipe and we'll install them here. Okay, so now we're going to grab our piece that looks like this. We'll slide this on over this. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you're installing your exhaust, you always want to make sure that you have the nut and bolt in a way that it's not going to rattle. So what I like to do, for example, over here, I'll put this one in the middle, and then I'll put this one over here on the right side, so nothing's gonna be rattling around, nothing's gonna be hitting. So if I had it flipped, it would hit over here, and it's really difficult to tighten, but you wanna make sure it's easy to tighten, and it's not gonna rattle. And this other straight piece is gonna go over here, just like that. And again, we're gonna make sure that nut is in a place that's gonna be out of the way for everything else. Now, if you remember earlier, we removed an exhaust hanger from over here. So that means the pipe that has the exhaust hanger is gonna go on the passenger side. So again, we're going to slide this over here, just like that. And then you can take that 13mm, and then we can just push this up here, and then this can hold this piece on while we continue to fit the rest of the exhaust. So then we're just going to continue to assemble our new exhaust here. Put this here so nothing falls off. Okay, so that's going to support that for the moment. Move it up here. Okay, good. Now, because this piece doesn't really have much to support it, I am going to snug it up a little bit. We're not going to go fully tightened, but just enough so where it's not going to go anywhere. We'll do this one as well. Do over here. Then you're going to grab the muffler that looks like this one right here. And we're going to take our exhaust hanger right off the floor. And you're just going to slide it on. Then slide your clamp on it. And you can slide this on over here like that. And then just as we've been doing, you can take your exhaust hanger, you just push it up and just hand thread on that 13 mil. And then you don't have to hold it anymore, you can just let go. So you can grab your other exhaust hanger, slide that on like that, make sure that you have a clamp on it, ready to go. So then you can just take this, slide it in, and then put it up here. Again, we'll get this hand tight, so then we don't have to support it anymore. Okay, so now that everything is pretty much in place, what we're going to do is we are going to just make sure that everything's positioned correctly, and we're gonna start to tighten everything down piece by piece. Now, this is not the time to fully torque it down. It's just to snug it up so that it's gonna stay on its own. So I really like the way that this pipe is positioned. There's plenty of room above it. It's not hitting any of this metal over here. I can get a full finger width in this space over here. Everything is sitting pretty flat and it's gonna sit in this cavity really nice. So with that, that tells me that we're pretty good over here. So you can start to snug it up and just double check yourself, everything. That's pretty much where I want this one to sit. So I can take this, and again, be very mindful where you put these clamps. And then you can tighten the last clamp before the muffler up right here. Again, you want to snug them up, but you don't want to kill it. Now that the passenger side is pretty secure, we're going to put on the cool AWE brace, which is going to go here and here, and then here and here. And that's just going to make sure that everything is going to stay snug while we continue to align everything. Again, we're not gonna crush it with a tightening or anything like that. But this is just gonna help us with an extra level of security. Now, it's not fully tightened, but that's a nice little touch, even though no one's ever gonna see it unless it's on a lift. Really cool way to, just make the most out of a little brace and just add a little detail. Okay, so at this point, I'm gonna tighten up this 13 mil and the same one on the other hanger on the other side. Then you're going to take your tip Y pipe and you're going to install it on the end here. Now, these only go on one side, so if you install it and your tips look kind of funny, you just need to flip them. You have it on the wrong side. Okay, we're gonna leave that really loose for now. We're gonna put the tips on and then we'll make sure that everything is level before we tighten that up. And then you can do the same thing on the other side. Now, just so it doesn't drop down when we install our brand new tips on, we are gonna snug it. But again, we're not gonna send it home yet. Okay, so while we're thinking about it, we are going to take our valve actuator and we are going to install this new plate, and basically it's just going to fake out the system and make it think that it's there, and it's not. So what you do is you put that little metal piece right there, and then you take this piece that AWE machined out, make sure that everything is sitting nice in there just like that, and then you can take the 10 mils that you used to remove it and you can install it back together. And once you've done that, you can remove the 10 mil that sits right here, 10 mil that sits here, and then the last one that sits over here. You release the clip from there. Plug it in just like that. And carefully pull this back, and you can stick it up in this pocket. And once you've done that, you can push your heat shielding back and reinstall the screws. Then at this point, you can carefully install the tips. This is going to be a rough install of them. And then what we're going to do is once the car is on the ground, we'll do a final tightening. At this point in the process, you can reinstall your support brace. Okay, so now everything's pretty much aligned. You can tighten these up. Okay, once you've done all of that, we're going to go through and we're going to do a final tighten, and then we're gonna put the car on the ground so that we can see exactly the tip positioning. We'll finish out the tip install, and then we'll be done. At this point in the process, everything is fully tightened, everything is fully adjusted, and well, the last thing to do is just start it up and see how it sounds. So let's do it. So as you just saw, Edwin's BMW G20 M340i with the B58 sounds absolutely incredible. Now, as we mentioned earlier, this car also has a catted downpipe. So if you get this exhaust and you have a stock downpipe, your exhaust may be a little bit quieter. So just want to let you know. So once again, my name is Brian. Thanks for watching Kies Motorsports. If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and check us out at KiesMotorsports.com for all of the parts like what we installed today and much more. For all of the links to parts and tools we use in today's video, be sure to see the links in the description. Once again, my name is Brian, and we'll see you in the next video.